3 surprising facts about self-defense that you should know if you live in Los Angeles. Let's go. My name is Veronica. I am a criminal defense attorney here in Los Angeles, and I help people who have been arrested put their criminal cases behind them so that they can enjoy their lives and their freedom. And again, this is going to be about 3 surprising facts about how self-defense is treated in Los Angeles. And look, many of these videos that I create are for people who have actually been arrested, that have been charged with a crime, that have court cases, but actually this one is for all of us who go around in the world. I mean, I know that I've had situations where I either acted or wanted to act in like self-defense, but is it self-defense really? If a girl hits you in the head because you're in a crowd of people and get shoved into her and you hit her back, is that self-defense? Perhaps not under the definition under California's statute. What about if someone reaches into your backpack and pulls out your wallet and you want to get it back? Can you punch them? I mean, I think it's justified, but under the law, it is actually a bit questionable. So let's go into what self-defense actually is first, and I have it pulled up here. So first, you have to reasonably believe that you were in imminent danger of suffering bodily injury or being touched unlawfully. So touched unlawfully there could be something that doesn't actually give you an injury, but you really don't want it. So let's say a random man, I don't know, comes up to me on the street and starts tickling me. That counts because that is unlawful contact that I do not want. It is not actually going to hurt me, but I can defend myself against that. And this is imminent danger. So, and I have to reasonably believe it. So let's say he just comes up to me and he says, I'm going to tickle you, and comes at me like this, and he's getting very close to me. Maybe he's only an inch away from my armpit. I probably can reasonably believe he's told me he's going to do it. He's very close to me. He's wiggling his fingers in a tickling manner. That I am in imminent danger of being tickled by this person that I don't want to have touched me, and it's unlawful because it's battery. Battery is harmful or offensive contact that is certainly offensive contact. Number 2, you have to reasonably believe that the immediate use of force is necessary to defend against that danger. So if I sock the tickling man in the face, is it necessary to get him to stop? First, I would probably scream. Maybe that gets him to stop. I would probably tell him, stop, don't touch me, right before I actually punch him. But if he gets to start tickling, I probably at least consider throwing the punch. And so far with numbers 1 and 2, I'm probably good there. Number 3, though, is that I use no more force than was reasonably necessary to defend against that danger. So me against a tickling man, punching him once, my fist is not that powerful. I haven't been lifting weights, hitting the gym in a while, sadly. So probably it's not really going to hurt him. But let's say I hit him one time, he stops, and I just keep hitting him. That's not okay. So anyway, that is basically what we're working with here in terms of self-defense and what the legal definition is. Now let's get into those 3 surprising facts about it. So first of all, number 1 is that the police choose whose fault it is. So let's say that the police, and I'm going to use a real life example of a case that I had that my client gave me permission to talk about. So in this case, the police show up at a fast food restaurant, and there are 2 people there. One is my client, and he has a big bite, but you can see human teeth marks on his arm. And the other guy has he's bleeding from the back of his head, and was temporarily knocked unconscious. He's continuing to bleed and is a bit out of it. And my client is fully lucid. He's fine. So at that point, the police look at these 2 people. They ask, what happened? They may get an answer, they may not, but they choose who to arrest at that point. So you have the one guy who needs medical attention. You're going to definitely, I would argue the human bite, He probably needed medical attention too. But the one guy, he's bleeding from the head. They want to take him to the hospital. They could still arrest him. But they are deciding with their limited, they may not even know that definition that we just went through, frankly. They're deciding who to arrest. And they almost never, sometimes they will, but almost never will arrest both people. So basically, they're deciding who acted in self-defense and who did not. And from that moment forward, how it will go is that that person that was not arrested will almost never, ever be charged with anything. Even if the police never found out how all of this happened, right? Almost never will be charged with anything. That person is probably just completely off the hook, almost always off of the hook. And so this other person that the police in this split second, somewhat uneducated decision made is going to be how the whole case is going to be viewed going forward. Second is that once this case, so let's say the DA sees this case and the case gets filed, and if the police never get any more information, nobody ever contacts the DA before the charges are filed, or maybe there's no chance to, if they arrest the guy right away, he doesn't bond out, he'll have court really quickly, then they are going to treat the person who was not charged as a victim. From the very beginning, without even knowing what happened, what will happen is that they actually assign him a victim advocate from the district attorney's office, and he's treated as this victim. So in the criminal case, there will be a protective order put on the person who was charged, and the other person is just treated, he's getting calls from the victim advocate, is there anything we can do for you? You know, we need you to come to court, can we pay for your taxi? That person is treated all special. And still, they don't really know, nobody's really looked into, well, how did this happen? Yeah, there were 2 injuries, but what? Just because you're a better fighter, then you get arrested and the other person is just getting away scot-free? But that's how they do it. And number 3 is that, so let's say throughout the course of this criminal case, right? Your attorney or you are able to prove that you acted completely in self-defense, such as you get the video. And I'll tell you what happened in this fast food case with a bite example. The other guy attacked my client and bit him on his arm like a zombie and would not let go. And my client was waving his arm. He's trying to get him to let go. I mean, it left marks even months later. He was drawing blood. He bit him. And so my client, he was charged with assault with a deadly weapon, by the way. Eventually, after trying to get away from him, after this guy tearing into his skin and maybe his flesh, hit the guy by moving his arm, not by grabbing the guy, by moving his arm, hit the other guy's head against the counter of the fast food restaurant, thereby causing his injuries. To me, that fits the definition of self-defense. I don't really know what else my client could have done at that point. He was already trying to pull his arm away and the guy was just chomping even more. But the thing is that, so let's say you or your attorney are able to prove that this is what happened. This meets all of those 3 elements of self-defense. This is self-defense, right? You're able to prove it. You'd think at that point, perhaps they go and arrest the other fellow, right? Perhaps now you are treated like the victim. You're getting calls from the victim advocate asking if you need a taxi to court. Maybe you get some compensation for this. And, I mean, you could sue the other guy. Maybe you should in that case if he has any money. But they won't. They almost never. You can get to the end of a criminal case. A jury can find that you acted in self-defense. A judge can find you acted in self-defense. The DA can find. Everyone can agree you acted in self-defense. They will not go back and arrest and prosecute that other person. From the moment that the police decided that he was off scot-free, he was off scot-free. So if you're like me and you maybe, I mean, I'm not like this anymore now that I've been doing this for a while, but especially like maybe college me that thought I was tough and thought I knew everything. Be careful. Be careful. Because, I mean, even in that client's case, you know, he had to bond out, he had to hire an attorney, deal with the court system. It was a long process. And the DA, you would think when they see, okay, here's what actually happened. This guy just came at him like a zombie and chomped on his arm and he was trying to get away. you'd think that they would automatically dismiss it, but no, it's a hard road even from there. So be careful, know the law, and honestly, at this point, even though there's more law we could get into about duty to retreat and all that, if that tickling man comes up to me and he's trying to tickle me, I'm just going to fucking turn and run. I'm going to get away from that man. I am not going to punch him in the face. I'm just going to turn and run. But even let's say it's somebody smaller than me, in that case, it might be even worse, because if it's someone smaller than me who attacks me and I get the better of them, I win that fight, right? That person ends up with worse injuries than they're able to give to me, or I'm able to actually prevent the injury to myself. So when the cops come, they're injured and I'm not, I'm going to get arrested. And at least there's a good chance I'm going to, and I don't want to go through that. So be very, very careful. Know your rights, understand the law, and my advice is to fucking run if you can. If you do have a criminal case in Los Angeles, feel free to give me a call. You can find my number down below. You can also book a consultation with me directly there.